domains was low. Doma changing the game. One bridge, one standard, now the systems move the same. Registrar stay central, keep the trust and control. DNS and compliance, still they play the key role. Traded on chain, let new markets arise. Domain value unlocked. Welcome to Domain Fi.
Welcome to Doma OnAir. This is episode 3, Liquidity Legends. Monte Cahn bringing the heat today. I'm Cap, joined by three guests, all special in their own right, but excited to jump into things today. We've got a full agenda, jam-packed with a lot of info and an industry legend, all legends, but one in particular, special guest today. So I do want to get right into things here. Fred, always a pleasure to chat with you. Before we get into intros, I at least wanted to kind of fly over, because I don't want to forget. I want to hit on some of these, what's hot in domains. I saw another half dozen, one combined 7-figure sale in domains this past, just recently, over the past week or so here. Pub.com and bar.com combined for $1 million, $500K each. That was reported on the first of the month, brokered by Kate Buckley at defining.com. On behalf of internet pioneer Mike O'Connor. We also had openpay.com for $310K, Corgi.com, $118K, Zemo.com for $95K, and allcalls.com at $49,999. And Fred, one quick question for you before we get into that. I noticed like Corgi.com, I think it was AI insurance, but I've seen a lot of these that are old/new businesses, maybe reinvented with AI. Are you seeing this like as a kind of a surge in domain sales, whether it be existing domains or even new stuff popping up due to this explosive growth in AI?
I think when I look at companies, individuals, or when they're starting to start their AI name, they're looking for a .ai name, which is great. And if they're ultra serious, they're going to snag both the com and the AI, right? But it's refreshing to see that people are starting to look and think about .ai first now. If you're kind of in that emerging tech. Yeah, so in short, AI is growing. We all know it. It's coming fast.
Totally makes sense. Before we get into intros here, and we lost Inder, but we're getting right back. Couple key dates. Want to point out, we have April 27th through 29th, the ICANN Contracted Party Summit. That's in Manchester. The big upcoming date is April 29th and 30th. We've got Dominion. That's at Resorts World, Las Vegas. We will be really looking forward to Dominion. Two days jam-packed with some incredible speakers. Head to luma.com and then Dominion 2026. Use code CWC to get your tickets. Still some early bird pricing on that. April 30th is the ICANN GTLD applications opening up. Only 22 days away now. June 1st.org wholesale price increases slightly. In August 12th, ICANN GTLD application window closes. All that said, we do have a legend. I do want to jump right into things. Monte Cahn is in the building, domain legend, operator, and the guy who just proved you could unlock real liquidity from a premium domain on Doma. We'll be getting into to Monte's numbers a little bit today, and also incredibly impressive background. We'll be touching on how domainers think about identity as well as AI agents. Because if you're in domains and you're not thinking about what agents mean for domain ownership, you definitely need to be. It is coming. It's coming fast. And as I mentioned, Dominion 26 is coming. Monte will be speaking as well, and the lineup just keeps getting bigger and bigger. That said, we'll get Inder back up here, and we may run through the intros once again. But Monte, I know we had a chance to chat briefly before the show. Before we get into numbers and talking about what you're building now, do you mind giving everyone a quick background? I mean, we talk about OGs and legends in the space. I don't know if it gets any more OG than yourself. You mind sharing some of that backstory with those tuning in today?
Sure, and thanks for having me, guys, and thanks to everybody in the audience. I got into the domain name business in 1994. I was probably one of the first 30 people or so in the business. And I was in the healthcare industry before that. And as I mentioned to you before the show, what inspired me to start investing in the business was I read a thesis paper on how domain names were just like real estate from a client of mine's son who wrote it for his thesis paper in college. And it was just an analogy between how real estate, physical real estate, compares to the new digital frontier, which would be internet domain names. And back then there was no Google or Yahoo or banner advertising. Building a website was very archaic, very complicated, very hard. AOL was just starting, or maybe a couple years after that, starting to send out their discs in the mail to get connected. But back in my day, it was CompuServe, Prodigy, Netscape was the browser. And you had to unplug your phone to connect into your computer or baud modem to even see, the web in real time. It took about 45 seconds to a minute and a half to download a website or even a single page. You couldn't listen to music. You couldn't download apps. You couldn't do any of that stuff. So when I invested, it was purely as a real estate play, just like buying raw land in Manhattan or on the beach. I live in Fort Lauderdale before other things got up there. So I consider the raw land piece like a piece of sand or a piece of real estate that hasn't been built yet, and a website would be something that's on top of it, like a building or something for commerce and shopping or retail. After a couple thousand acquisitions of domain names, buying domain names from Network Solutions at the time, which was the monopoly registrar and registry designated by the government. That became quite expensive. Had about $140,000 of just registration fees into the domains back then. Back then, names were registered for $70 for 2 years, so $35 a year, but you didn't have a 1-year option. You had to register them for 2 years. And I was, I'm a ROI guy, so I'm like, how am I going to get some of this money back when the internet's still new and no one's got it yet? So I thought of a way to put all the domain names on a single page and got a website company in Orlando to build me a page, and it just listed all the names with a hot link to send me an offer. And after 2 days of bringing all my names up, which was about 2,000 names, their servers went down from all the traffic. And then it happened again. And then we added a server, and then it happened again. So it took 4 servers to handle all the traffic back then from just natural type-in traffic of the domain names I registered at the time, because again, remember, it's before search engines. So direct navigation was your search. You had to type into the URL line what you wanted to see and what was going on back then. I started figuring out a way to sell my names by putting up this page, and sold 14 names my first year, 18 names my second year, covered my registration costs. I actually was the first one to sell a name from one party to another. So I had to go to Network Solutions to come up with how that transfer protocol was even working. No one ever sold a name before. After coming up with the authorization code theme, which is still used today, that was the way to transfer one name to another party. And then we started, I'm speeding up, but we started representing other people's premium names. And then in 1999, we were the first company to sell a domain name for $1 million, which was wallstreet.com. Then we were the first company to sell a name for over $2 million, which was autos.com. We held a bunch of auctions at the time, online, like email auctions. So we were the first ones in the auction business. And then I created a company called Moniker.com, which became a domain asset management company. Basically, it was a registrar that monetized traffic through GoTo and the early days of Applied Semantics, which is now Google, parking. And then we put for sale pages on those domain names and held auctions and started generating sales for other people. Fast forwarding more, Fred's old company, Oversea.net, we ended up merging together to create a domain name asset management powerhouse. I ended up running a domain sponsor under him, and also a company called SnapNames, which was the leading drop catching service in the world back then. We were one of the first ones who did that before we joined that venture. And after that, speeding up, I left Oversea and then started RightAtTheDot.com, which is a domain consulting firm that also runs all the live and online auctions for the domain industry, for NamesCon, all the big conferences. And we also do the contention resolution service for the new TLD program for our ICANN. Hopefully we're going to win that business again. So our auctions are used if 2 competing parties apply for the same TLD. And then hopefully we'll be that contention resolution service for ICANN in this next round. And I also monetize traffic through a company called Internet Equity. We build out websites with all kinds of monetization links that kills parking, makes it 100 times better. And I also run and the managing director of .hip hop, which is the new TLD for the hip hop industry and culture. So I'm pretty busy.
Amazing. Certainly busy guy. Certainly appreciate all your time today. I am curious. You were so being the first person to sell a domain peer to peer or resell a domain. Where did you even register those first domains? Like the first ones you bought, what was it?
Network Solutions was the only registrar to register names in 1994. Well, from 1994 through when the monopoly broke up, which was 1999. Then 10 more registrars were allowed in. But Network Solutions was the primary and only way you could register domain names. So they were the registry and the registrar at the time, designated by the FTC and the government to provide that service.
It's amazing.
So, what you had to do is you could look up availability on a computer, but you had to send in paper forms for the first 3 years, I believe. And you had to put them
faxes? Was it fax machines?
No, it was
paper
mail.
forms, like
Only
lick and
paper
stamp. Nice.
So stamp, send it to them, and then you got back a certificate whether you got that name or not, and then you saw your name online to be able to do that, and then you had to send in DNS instructions to change DNS, all that kind. Nothing was computerized on that front then. There was no ICANN. There was no, there was no guidelines, rules. It's kind of like, crypto is today, unregulated, but all that kind of stuff. So that's how anybody back then registered domain names.
A good book was The Domain Game. I know you're in the domain game, that book.
Yeah, that's from a long time ago.
yeah. For some OG primer for people covering the space. Definitely good read.
I will. That might be my book for the flight out to Dominion this year. Sounds fitting.
There you go.
Monty, I was going to say you've been in domains longer than a lot of people here listening in. These kids listening even knew what domains were, but I'm guessing you might have been buying domains before some were even born. The kids,
I run into that all the time at the conferences. Like before you.
They have no idea the era of the dial-up internet, like the era you were describing. I was not in domains, unfortunately. I had not, but I was accessing the internet by like Juno email was my.
Nice.
My internet connection at the point. That was my connection to the World Wide Web was playing like turn-based games on Juno email.
I was building websites on another person's domain, imall.com. It would be like imall.com/Chris, you know what I mean? Or, Cap. Yeah. Subdomains.
We've come a long way. Yeah.
So I ironically, this has all come full circle, but I considered domain names back then as digital real estate, as virtual digital real estate. And now it's truly digital in its form now. Domains were the original NFTs in my opinion. So, and I still think of that today. And, people don't understand what domain names are. They're two cross sections of IP addresses. And because you couldn't remember the address, it was assigned to a name. So similar to the 800 numbers, the toll-free numbers when it spelled out a name because nobody could remember the number. So it was 1-800 buy cars, 1-800 flowers, 1-800 doctor. You also use the analogy that the new top level domains that have come out and coming out are same way that 800 numbers ran out of those vanity numbers. So when there was no more 1-800 buy cars, flowers, whatever, it went to 888 and 877 and 866 and 83. So there's 20 toll-free numbers that you can still have the buy cars addressed to. Our kids don't know the value of those 800 numbers because they don't use that today, just like they don't understand that value. But most people don't understand what com means, what the definition was at the time and what it was for, which was commercial or for profit. So now with the new TLDs, there's a lot more meaning to the right of the dot. This way.
Yeah. You remember when people had the phonetic names for 800 numbers, right?
Yeah.
Like 1-800 right of the, or something like that, right? And just imagine when 888 came in, you're like, oh, I need to get that one too. And if whatever the toll-free ones, right? I see the same pattern happening where people buy and will just reserve the next extension that they already use for their .ai or .com. That's absolutely kind of the history of domains. And you brought up a good point too, Monty. We're just riffing now, Chris. Like phone numbers, nobody remembers phone numbers. IP addresses, nobody understands how to type in Amazon's IP address in your browser. You just go to Amazon.
Just like wallet addresses, it's the same thing. So
exactly.
The beautiful thing about what you're doing, Fred, and what we're doing together is now you can have a domain name as your wallet, so you don't have to remember the freaking address. So it could be monty.xyz, and that's my wallet address, or monty.con.net.
The funny thing is
that overarching theme is like history will always repeat itself. I mean, you heard that from Monty. Like we're just repeating the same playbook from the 90s to the 2000s, 2010s. So Sorry, Andrew, go ahead.
But I was going to say, like, history is going to repeat itself even with AI. You would have thought machines would have used numbers, but AI is English. So if you want to send money to a wallet using an AI agent, it's not going to remember your hex address. It's actually going to send it to your domain or your name. So the history is going to repeat itself once more now.
Amazing to me that Monte, when he first got into domains, viewed it as digital real estate. And then talk about full circle moment. That's where Doma was what turned me on to thinking, wow, these domains, they really are RWAs. They are digital real estate. And I think Doma is pushing that forward and helping the masses realize that this digital real estate is, and making it more accessible to the masses.
I'd say digital real estate minus the metaverse.
Right.
We've always been kind of, pretty proud of this industry having staying power. Me and Paul Stahura, one of our co-founders of E3, we keep on using the word halo, high asset, low obsolescence, right? Domain names, it's just like cell phones, your internet connection, your domain name. You're always going to need these, right?
Yeah.
There's
been a lot of challenges, to the domain industry saying, oh, domains are going to go away because there's apps. Domains are going to go away because there's, these wallet addresses, and now AI is going to get rid of domain names. Well,
it's going the other direction. Yeah, it's going the other direction. AI might eliminate apps with due to ephemeral software and stuff, but I think to your point, AI agents, they're going to need more domains. I envision
every AI agent having its own domain name. That's the way it's got to communicate. The DNS protocol is still the protocol in which this stuff has to communicate on. There's no other way for them to communicate with each other. So I envision domain names being registered more and more based off of agent names, whatever those are, in various extensions. And of course, the new round will have more crypto type extensions, being sought after, like .wallet, .crypto, .bitcoin, .solana. All the major companies will go after their own top level domain names as part of this purpose, as part of having brand identity online. Com is not a dictionary term, and ending in com, even though it's the king, has the most stamina because it was the first. It may not be defining to everybody that's using it, and you might as well have something to the right of the dot makes more sense. That flows better linguistically from the right to the left, or the left to the right.
I wonder how different that is generationally speaking. To us, I'll always think of probably .com as that's the main domain, that's your primary. But I'm guessing some of this younger generation, they may view that a little differently. I could see fast forward a few years, it might be something like .ai or a different.
Well, that's happening now.
It depends on country too. Yeah. In the US, in the Western markets, they think about, okay, sure, the social media walled gardens. In Vietnam, where we had the last one of the last ICANN meetings, everybody owns a domain name, even down to teenagers, right? The whole sort of social generation.
The extension, the extension is, I can tell you just based off my own kids, they don't care that it's a .com. I mean, we care because I helped found the industry, and people understand that most of the Fortune 5,000 companies have their .com address because that meant commercial, to do business for profit. But that's just like the 800 number analogy I just gave, which is our kids don't know what 800 numbers, toll-free numbers are. They have to use them because when you use this device, all calls are free. It's not relevant. Mm-hmm. But 1-800-Flowers isn't getting rid of their 800-Flowers number. And, to the big corporate brick and mortar companies, their 800 number address was a part of their identity from the very start and beginning. So they have, major roots in the ground on that foundation layer, just like com for most of the Fortune 5,000 companies have com as part of their address. It's part of their DNA, and it's how it's recognized. But the new generation, the new companies, not necessarily need to be on .com or .net or .org. It depends what they're doing, and having a .law or .app or .ai or makes more sense. AI is a country code, by the way. It's not a top level domain. So that country of Anguilla got very lucky by having the country code letters for artificial intelligence. So,
actually, Claude.com redirects to Claude.ai. So Claude actually doesn't serve under .com anymore.
Interesting.
Yeah. There we go. Anguilla over US, huh? In that instance. Hey, I can't help but, hey, Monte, you brought up that you're also doing a platform where people can basically, an alternative to monetization, an alternative to RSOC, right? I think we're seeing a lot of those examples these days, right? You also mentioned that usage, people used to type in this, right? And remember when when they all called it direct navigation back in the day, it was
Yep.
something like 15% of all internet searches was happening in the URL bar, because people like you and me plus grandma was just typing like flowers and just adding like a .com.
Not 15%, over 50%. And
For sure.
yeah, and I
Depending on
just
time,
read,
yep.
I just read a study that it's still close to 50%. People are direct navigating still. I mean, even when you type in google.com, you're a direct navigation into Google. So when you're typing in a domain name that you know, that's a direct navigation search or a direct navigation end address. So, you know, a lot of people type in the .com address into Google instead of going directly to the URL line and typing it in. So it's all convoluted, but
and when you have you know, when you're doing a search on OpenAI or Grok or whatever, and it usually says like, hey, searching 50 sites, searching 60 sites, and now Grok even says, hey, now I have an agent looking for this website, that website, etc. Don't you feel that like the usage pattern is evolving from people now to agents looking at websites, if not scouring them?
Yeah, and
you know, how do you think that usage is going to change?
No, I think that's going to be happening, but there's another validation that domain names are not going away because they're searching sites. So the agents are searching sites. When you type in something into Chat GPT or Claude, or not Claude, but the other engines, they're searching websites to get their results and their answers. So that means the website they're searching is still relevant and valid because that's where they're getting their information from. So that's why domain names are so key, because they stand behind web addresses that have information that these agents are looking for.
Are you implying that RSOC and traditional ways of monetization are dying?
No, because again, 50% of people are doing direct navigation, and RSOC is searching up more relevancy to the advertisers, for sure, than what parking did. I think the parking industry, and I was one of the original parking companies. If you remember, Fred, one of the reasons why we were purchased by Oversea was because I had Traffic Club, which was a round robin parking solution. It was the first one in the industry that rotated around multiple feeds, including domain sponsor.
Yep.
It also had Hit Farm, it had Yahoo, it had a direct Google feed, it had sex search for sex, for adult names, and it rotated this engine to find the highest paying ad result. And that business basically killed itself because there was so much crap being served up. So RSOC is more relevant than what parking was, which was AdSense for
less abuse, less affiliate spam, less malware, right?
So is there anything you're doing, Monte, to optimize to show up in OpenAI, ChatGPT?
I was going to say the same.
I'm sorry, say that again?
Is there anything you're doing to optimize you showing up in ChatGPT when someone searches?
Oh yeah, it's providing content-rich relevancy sites. So one of my sites that I'm a part owner in is Atlanta.com, for example. We own a bunch of city names like that. Atlanta.com. We own SouthCarolina.com, Cuba.com. We own Fishing.com and Hunting.com and all those. So what we're doing is building multiple thousands of pages deep in content-rich, keyword search, term related content that then becomes the reference site to what you're searching. So several of our search show up in the search engine in the front page without us even paying for placement, for buying media, because it's become such a reference site. All the deep pages, now we're providing ebooks for free. All that, of course, is embedded with monetization links. But instead of having a one-time click like a parking click, where you're hoping that a percentage of a percent actually clicks on that ad and then does something, this is a repeat customer. Once they see it as a reference site, people are visiting Atlanta.com over and over again. Matter of fact, we're getting 2,000 repeat visitors a day. Repeat visitors because they think it's the reference site for Atlanta. So if you build sites with rich content using AI to expand that searchable information, that's when it becomes really referenceable and valid and valuable, and it becomes a reference site for real information and serves a purpose.
That's pretty genius, because I feel like the value of domains comes from the utility. And with AI, it seems to me you can add utility with like very little work. So your domains are probably worth a lot more now than they were before AI, right?
For sure, because an operating business on a domain, which was so hard to do, even with template-driven website engines like on GoDaddy, still most people don't want to mess with it. They don't want to try to build their site and get their logos and all this stuff. AI makes it not only so much easier, but by having the AI agents continuously improve the information on each of those websites, it then becomes more valuable. And then your site traffic goes up. When your site traffic goes up, your domain becomes more valuable because it has actually content-driven information. And the beautiful thing is it earns money. So then you have a return on investment plus a multiplier on what that buyout number would be. So if Atlanta.com was worth $500,000 before we put a website on it, it's at least worth $1 million now, if not more. And it will keep going up in price as there's more and more traffic to that website.
That's one thing we know about domainers. They love to make money in their sleep.
Yeah, but the difference is that the old ways of domainers was laziness. And listen, I served millions of them, or hundreds of thousands of them, because parking made all their money in their sleep. Now it's not working that way. You can't make money in your sleep from parking.
If they do a little bit more work, you got to do a little bit more work.
A lot more work. A little bit more work, but AI helps with that work.
Exactly.
Got to get the agent trained up to make money in your sleep for you.
I'm no AI, expert by any stretch, but we worked actually a year and a half on the prompt library. The most important part about AI and getting the right results is how you prompt the engine to give you what you want. So you can't just ask generic questions and think you're going to get, really good information. It's the value you put in is what you get out. So we built this prompt library for 18 months before we launched the website. And that made a huge difference because now that prompt library is actually getting smarter and smarter with AI agents to build better, prompt libraries and to ask the right questions and think what people are asking and what they should be getting as information so that they click on it again or ask another question.
Yeah. I also wonder, I haven't had this conscious thought until just now, with AI and these AI agents, like SEO, as you said, it's not going anywhere per se. Like you still need content-rich sites and what in the past made sense for SEO, or you had to have kind of table stakes for SEO, still exists. But I think, or I would speculate that a premium domain is even more valuable in the world of AI agents, because that's going to, when they're looking for whatever someone's searching, whatever someone's prompting in AI, I would imagine that the premium domain is going to pop to the top more
absolutely
than it did on a search engine, right? Is that logic?
From where I stand, yeah, you have a premium domain like Cuba.com, and you actually serve useful content on Cuba.com. What are these AI searches companies focusing on, right? They're focusing on their models. They're kind of pushing off scraping of mass data from whatever, gray web, dark web, scouring a bunch of stuff from Reddit, whatever. And you don't really know how they're ranking those 25, 50 different sites, right? But if you at least give it, in my opinion, some useful anchors, like it's a legit domain, right? Someone went out of their way to actually buy it and actually put content on it, and it's relatively updated. There should be no reason in my mind, I'm curious about what Monty thinks, why it shouldn't act as logical as Google search index ranking.
For sure. I just got back from CloudFest with, if anybody doesn't know what that is, that's the largest cloud computing, cloud hosting conference in the world. It's run by the same people that put on NamesCon. It's 10,000 people. The biggest hosting companies like Hosting Group, which is hosting.com, Web Pros, all the hardware companies. Everybody is doing something with AI. Every single company. And last year, hardly anybody was. And so AI, of course, is the hottest thing for those very reasons that you said, Fred. And they're embedding AI into time to go live on websites, DNS propagation, of course, the website building products and services, and AI to bring on all your customers as a sub hoster. If you have, if you're working with 2Cows or you're working with some of the resellers to bring on their website stuff. It's crazy.
I was just talking to a guy who owns a very popular media site yesterday. It's like over 10 million unique visitors every month. It's printing money, but he has some buyers coming by, and they're like, you know what? They're giving me a media company multiple. I really want to up my game. I want to get more advanced. Fred, what can you do with agents? What can you do with Web3? Because you know what? I want to get twice or 3 times the asking. I don't want to be stuck with private equity multiples. I want big dollar AI kind of multiples. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I think that when I think back in terms of what Monty said, it's absolutely right. You want to make sure that you kind of do some things that makes that $500,000 domain name worth at least $1 million on the for sale marketplace.
Oh yeah, the multiples are going to change because of this for sure. Much more. You know, I mean, we saw a a crazy domain that wasn't a website sell for $70 million, which is AI.com. So that just happened. Well, it happened a year ago, but it was announced just a couple.
And I still haven't got my AI.com username, password. I
They're
paid my Apple Pay.
They're definitely struggling on what they advertise in the Super Bowl. But the point is that and Rick Schwartz made a big. If anybody doesn't know Rick Schwartz, he's called the Domain King. He was one of my original customers when I had Moniker, and he's one of the original guys in the industry too. But he's like, look, for crypto.com to pay $70 million for AI.com isn't so crazy because it's $1 trillion industry, and owning a 2-letter name you can't misspell that's going to provide some kind of product or service in the industry to drive value in a multi-trillion-dollar industry.
Multi-trillion.
It's pennies for that. And the rumor is right after that sale took place, they were offered $500 million for the same domain name and turned it down. So that's how crazy some of this stuff is going to happen and what's going to happen to domain values as a result of that. Now, everybody's name isn't worth millions of dollars. Most names are not. But it increases the value of names in specific, under specific categories and under certain genres for sure. And not sure how far and how long that's going to run because everything kind of runs in patterns. And, soon there'll be a new fad and a new pattern and a new keyword that drives a lot more interest and is a new thing in the industry because it happens every couple of years. And that'll be the new big thing. But I think AI, like domains, AI is here to stay for a very, very long time.
Are you revealing, Monty, that you're going to go for .agent or .agi?
No, I'm
the
not.
Next GTLD round?
I know some people that are. I'm not going for any more new TLDs. I've got enough.
There you
So,
go.
Monty, I did have like a question though. Like, you mentioned people like, will go to like Atlanta.com, right? Because it's the knowledge base for Atlanta. If I'm an AI agent, I have a reasonable bullshit filter, right? Because I'm an AI agent. Is there anything else you're doing to make your domain more trustworthy? Like, AI.com sells itself, but what else are you doing to bring trust to the users visiting your domains?
Well, having real content and information or answering somebody's need or question is key. So on each one of these domain names that I mentioned, and we have a couple thousand, by the way, like this, but we have an AI chat bot box in each of these domain names, and you ask a question and it then serves you the answer. It can either serve you the answer on the site like you get from ChatGPT, or we ask you to put your email in and then we deliver the answer to you. Now, once you do that, you collect an email address, a double opt-in email address, and then you really monetize. Because then in your answer, which is opened up almost every single time after you've double opted in, now that now you all of a sudden go from a commercial emailer to, hey, we're your partner, we're your friend, we're your resource to answer and ask any question, and then deliver you things that you want, even for sale. So that's where our monetization solution really gets value from each one of these websites that we've created.
Right.
That's really killer. I mean, we're seeing RPMs that have never been seen before because of it. And you have lifetime value of a customer instead of a one-time click in a parking solution.
Mhm.
So now you have, we've collected 35 million 35 million double opt-in email addresses that keep asking questions back. And it's turned into a real big business now for us. And so we're really excited about it because we're a professional email monetizer now and have been for a couple of years. But that in combination with AI, website, deep information building, and turning domain names into real websites is a key, it's a key advantage and a wave of the future, in my opinion.
No, I love this, and that's why I keep asking questions, because Monty, you're like literally defining the agentic economy, by doing all these things. Do you also foresee people actually paying for this content? So like an agent like asks you like, hey, tell me something about Atlanta, and you say, hey, give me like 5 cents. And then not just can you monetize them, as affiliates like later, but also ask them for money for the content you're serving them.
I'm not sure you can ask them for money. I mean, it's possible, but what we can do is say, hit this link below, and this will get you to this restaurant for reservations. All of a sudden, that's CPA.
Right.
That's clicked. That's payment to you for serving that link up, that ad up, and then you get paid for that. That's when your RPMs are highly valuable, because you have a focused, direct lead gen
A conversion.
Exactly. The conversion is it's not conversion by accident and they click off. It's conversion and you've acquired a customer. Now they've got their email address because they made a reservation at the restaurant. And so they're a repeat customer. So this is how all this works, so that's what good advertising is, and valuable advertising on all ends. And it helps the client asking the question and the company that's paying for the ad or paying for the, the CPA link all in one, and serving that up in the right format with the right keywords and the right flow and attitude to that particular customer is what's key, instead of throwing up a bunch of bullshit.
Actually, it's like one of my friends was saying they're seeing higher CPAs for agentic commerce because the agent has vetted the intent, and it's a real customer going for real data and actually valuing whatever you're selling them. It's not just accidental misclick or some bullshit trial, right?
That's what parking was. Parking was that. You got 0.1% to convert, and companies like ours and Fred's made tons of money on that fraction of a percentage. But you really didn't have your repeat customer, your repeat click, and you're only serving value to that 0.1%. And guess what would never happen? They never type in that domain name again because they didn't need to. Nobody would ever go type that in when they already got what they were looking for. And then most people opted out of everything because they never got to what they wanted to. So that's the big difference.
You also make me think about this idea of we went from a typing stuff into browsers and direct search to a search engine based internet, to where now when someone's talking with Claude or ChatGPT, the returned result's not a Google result with 10 different links on it. You can choose your favorite one. I think, isn't this driving home not only having good quality websites, like you mentioned, good quality content on there, maybe more comprehensive, but also bubbling up those, having a good premium domain, because oftentimes you're getting one return, if they're linking something, if the LLM is linking a specific website, it's likely going to be one website, not a dozen, right?
Yeah. Well, again, it's all based on what your prompt is, right? So when I'm using, ChatGPT to give me, 10 prospects for a certain domain name I'm trying to sell, of course I get, your definite targeted list, some of the outliers that may be interested, some of the direct match lists. So I'm asking for, give me the top 10 likable buyer, potential buyers that would pay 6 figures or more for this particular domain name. And it, gives me those answers. And then I start making direct contact with those companies. And I used to do all that manually before, obviously. So it's not a complicated way to use AI, but it works for, if you're a domain broker or you're a domain salesperson or whatever, it helps you get honed down and, much easier access. And it helps you with getting your LinkedIn contacts to respond, with the right messaging than ever before. So I find it very efficient that way as well.
Yeah. By the way, everyone, Inder Singh, thanks so much for joining us today. I know we just jumped in everything hot there. I'm actually kind of glad I didn't have to go around the horn introductions. I don't think any of us could hold a candle to Monty's background. But brief, VP of product and tech at D3. Anything else by way of background or introductions you wanted to share with the audience today?
Sorry, my internet dropped out for it always does, right, at such points. Yeah, I've been in the tech industry for the past 25 years. Started off in research in high performance computing. So, the big clusters that have led to AI. Since then, spent maybe 15, 20 years in AI, ML and advertising. Did a company with Fred. And then, yeah, I was part of the founding team at D3, and have been running product in tech here.
Awesome. And Fred, I know we've had you on the show every time, and by now, hopefully everyone is well aware yourself. I wanted, you kind of mentioned it, both of you, one of you in passing there, but can I talk on the string? Look, how did you and Monte meet? Can you take us back to that? I mean, did I hear you merged, built a business together? How did you initially come across each other?
Yeah, everything that Monte mentioned, but back in the day, Moniker. So yeah, we owned, we bought Moniker, we bought Snap Names, but let me just talk about Moniker for a second. Back in the day, Moniker was known to be the domainers registrar. It was all those other things too. You mentioned, Monte, right? Good at parking, good at rotation. But we always knew it as just a simple way for people who own thousands, if not even millions of domains, to just simply get a good price, good service, and the system work, right? Just very, very simple UI. So that's what attracted us, and we jumped in and bought it. So
I don't own this anymore, by the way. We sold it to Domain Sponsor. Domain Sponsor sold it to Web.com. Web.com sold it to Key Systems. Key Systems then merged with CentralNIC, which is now Team Internet. So that's who runs that site. It's not anything like it was when I built it. Just so you know, just some background.
Yeah. Back in the day, it had a feather, nice feather. But yeah, you were getting a nice that logo. Did you design that logo, Monte?
Yeah, I did. That
there you go.
It's great because Moniker is the Irish dialect for nickname or name. So I went through this big brand exercising in my head about something different that meant how you brand yourself or how you name yourself. So Moniker was the perfect name. And back then, Moniker, was related to the old quill. And so I thought of, the old style of communication with a new generation of digital asset domain ownership all together. So Moniker had this famous brand with a quill on top, writing quill as its feather, like a feather in its cap. But
you had a feather in your cap. There you go.
Yeah.
But you speak about a point which I think is not surprising. These domain assets, these domain companies, whether you're a registrar or portfolio or other sort of ancillary services, they've been kind of in this same circle, kind of a lot of the PE, private equity sort of just bought and sold M&A activity for the past 20 years. Probably at least, right? I think the one thing that's going to change these days is how people are going to quickly innovate now using AI tools. Yeah. And when I think about the Web3 side, our mission has always been about, hey, we don't want to get $500,000 for Cuba.com. We want Monte to get $1 million at least. How do you introduce more liquidity? How do you kind of get more programmability so not only humans but also agents can also really use this stuff, right? So my standpoint, this is all good, but it starts with the narrative and it starts with the education. Most people don't know about domains. They think it's sort of like something where it's like, oh, I need to set up some OpenClaw. Yeah, let me just look around for a domain name. Yeah, whatever. Sure enough, that domain name they bought, if it's, for example, not a great domain, it's not going to get as much attention. Sometimes if you don't buy at .com, bigger companies don't even reply to you, right? Let alone, potential hacks I hear every other day, people losing their domain name, right? We just see this history having repeated itself over and over. But I think we're kind of at that inflection point now. We're kind of technologies and innovation is picking up in a way where these things can kind of grow more than they're being bought and sold over and over.
And Monte has the distinction that one of his names has the most owners on Doma. Like amongst all the names launched on Doma, Monte is at the top of the leaderboard for one of his names, has literally 11,000 people that have bought.
Oh, is that investors.xyz?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I to Fred's point, when Fred came up with this concept and idea, I totally am a bullish proponent of any way you can monetize these assets. It doesn't always have to be a website, doesn't always have to be a sale. I love the fractionalization approach because you still stay in control, and whatever your dream and vision was, you can sell it to others and they buy into it. So at first, when Fred's group asked me, what kind of domain names do you have that's related to the, crypto or the Web3 world, I threw a handful of names, and I threw mostly my .xyz names on purpose because I owned very keyword .xyz names. So top keyword and .xyz. XYZ obviously is being used for a lot of crypto projects. people understand that the new generation actually likes the XYZ name. Daniel Nagari and I are good friends who started the registry. I've always supported him. I bought a bunch of his premium names back in the very beginning. And I thought of some names that would make sense to put on the platform. And, one of the first fractionalization experiments I did was there's a company called Rally Road. Are you guys familiar with it? Rally Road. So Rally Road, you can own fractions of art. Michael Jordan's sneakers in the 6th game of the championship from the 90s. You can own a car, part of a car. They started putting CryptoPunks up there, and also Bored Apes. And so I started buying fractions of those because I didn't want to spend $1 million to buy my own ape. So I started buying fractions of those apes. And then Andrew Rosner, who's a partner, friend, colleague of mine who runs Media Options, he bought a domain name from me in auction called directions.com. And he partnered with Rally Road and was the first one to put a domain name on their system and then send it out for fractionalization. Of course, a lot of the domain OGs like myself supported it and bought bought our pieces of it. And now that asset is going up in value. And then he put mj.com, which is a 2-letter domain name, very valuable, on there as well. And the same thing happened. So it's starting to get traction as one of the early experiments. So this made perfect sense to me when D3 and Doma came along, because I'm like, hey, as long as there's buyers and investors on the other side, this makes total sense. And so I had no issues with putting my domain names up. And in my case, I still retain 80% of the ownership. You can pick whatever ownership you want. It's flexible. And I put fair valuations on them. I didn't expect $1 million for investors at XYZ. I put, I think, a $20,000 valuation on it. And, a lot of these XYZ names are selling for something around that. So it made sense to me. I'm being fair. Somebody wants to buy it, they can buy it, or they can keep investing in it. And so it's worked out really well for me. I just cashed out with Mike on your team or somebody helped me
Matt.
around into the wallet and everything. So I took half my money off the table on 5 or 6 of the names that are live and kept the other ones in the Doma tokens. And I'm very happy to do that because I think it's all going to increase in value over time.
And I think you got 11,000 community, basically fanboys of investors.xyz as well. So when and if things happen there, you got users on tap,
Yeah.
I
love the concept, and I'm waiting to turn live some other names on the system. And Fred, I understand you're going to be tapping into a lot more of the investors on the other side soon. Partnership with Solana or somebody. So
100%. This speaks to
so
liquidity.
I'm really excited to see what happens then, and excited to meet those people in Vegas too.
And I don't blame the industry for having. I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, Inder, but I just want to say one quick thing about Rally Road and some of the other kind of fractionalization implementations. I don't blame domainers for basically classifying Doma or what we've done today with other projects, right? I can say that our implementation is very, very different. I think
for sure.
I bought my monkey JPEGs as well. So has guys like Drew Rosner. I think that he's been very, very vocal about that stuff. But I just want to be clear: we are not a monkey JPEG fractionalization system. We are a domain asset liquidity and programmability, or what we call composability platform.
Yeah, I was just using an example on how you can buy a piece of. You would
but I don't blame the mentality.
You would never be able to buy 0.1% of Michael Jordan's sneakers, or without a company like that. I'm sure there's a couple companies, but I'm just more familiar with Rally Road because I did that.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
Remember, when a domain name went up there, that's when I wanted to prove the point on fractionalization. On you can actually fractionalize a domain name, which technically isn't 100% owned because you're paying for a subscription every year.
Yeah, exactly.
That even makes it more dynamic because you can own the token and you can actually own outright the token, and the domain name is still on an annual renewal basis. That's really cool to be able to do that, in my opinion. It's like paying for your rights to own something, and now you can pay for a fraction of your rights to own something.
And what I like about go.
I was going to say, no. And I want to say, not just you, Monty, right? I own investors.xyz through you, and I make money on an ongoing basis. That was never possible through Rally Road, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can't go to Rally Road, buy sneakers of Michael Jordan, and then make money off of sneakers of Michael Jordan.
Yeah, the asset has to sell on Rally Road in order for
exactly.
Right.
But the asset's not selling, right? Investors still listed, and I'm making money on a daily basis. And to Monty's point, I was not going to drop 20 grand to buy that name. I dropped I think $100, and I'm happy with my investment.
And what I want to say, right, what I like about the perception about these fractionalization platforms, including D3s, right, is the fact that, again, the simplest explanation oftentimes is the best, right? Mom always told me the best way to sell a pizza is to basically instead of selling the whole pizza, sell it off in 12 slices.
Right.
At my Boy Scouts, camp, right? That's the fundamental way to think about it. And I think that a lot of Robinhood and a lot of these other platforms, even Coinbase soon, are going to be offering tokenized stocks. It's just about getting people access. It's just about getting people, the ability to buy little pieces, in my opinion.
And Doma unlocks so much more. I think I own a Triceratops fossil, or a fraction of a Triceratops fossil on Raleigh Road. The only thing I can do with it is sell it. I can sell my share, or someone sells the fossil. I might get a small, dividend someday. But with Doma, like you mentioned, you own an investor.xyz. It's not only do you have almost 12,000 holders, I think it's the largest with subdomains. There's over 26,000 subdomains. And I can actually become from a passive investment where I own a fraction of something that the only thing I can do is sell it and hope it appreciates. Whereas with Doma and tokenizing these domains and fractionalizing these domains, I can become a productive asset. I can do things with that subdomain, right? I think this is really unlocking a whole new world in the world of fractionalization.
Yeah, it's very cool. Again, you were talking about how you drive more value into this asset, these domain assets, and the fact that are they going away because of AI? No, they are increasing because of things like this. Because now you have functionality, appreciation through investment, especially when people are buying into it, then usage by other people using subdomains off of it, and then it's in an open market, and so the market's deciding what the value and it's a real market. Just like when I do my auctions, I'm selling to a real market. We're a market maker. This platform is a market making platform, which is really, really cool. And you're going to see many domain names become their own markets because of it. Because it's the first of its kind that you can actually sell fractions of your domain name to other people. That's really cool.
I see a guy named William, bought william.investors.xyz subdomain for $42. He
Bingo.
willingly, and he could trade it later. I don't know what he's going to use for it, but look, what do we all use domain names for, right? For existing and also future use cases. So
map your wallet.
11,000 of those people. Map your wallet. Give it to your agent. I don't know, William's agent.investors.xyz. So the possibilities with domain names really are endless. But again, people need to think about usage as much as liquidity in our worldview.
I think Monty is also right. Investors is an economy of its own now. It's no longer just a domain, right? It's a mini economy, and I think that's what makes it special. So, for a domain listed at 25K, it has done $250,000 in trading, 10x. That's pretty impressive. It's like a little microeconomy right there.
And when I look at the buyer, not to nerd out too much with you guys, right? But we know Kate from Defining. We know all the people in the domain industry, right? They could all probably be fit in one relatively large ballroom. When I look at who bought into investors.xyz, who is David IZDE.eth? Who is this random wallet address ending in A724? Who is this guy named BTCCLO.eth? These are all new incremental buyers that the domain industry never had, right? And you also go back to prior question too, Cap, well, what did it all start with? Let me ask you guys a rhetorical question. Where would we be today without databases, relational databases? When Larry Ellison decided to basically create this thing called a relational database and sold it to the US government, I think probably in the 70s, think about all the advancements in humanity and technology that came as a result. People started, indexing their cows and chickens as much as, putting stocks on a stock exchange, right? If you forget about tech for a second, the fundamental reason why Doma exists is to kind of bring those primitives that allow future commerce around this asset class, right? Forget about the technology. It's just about doing what I think is the simplest explanation once again.
Yep, agreed.
Yeah, it's we've seen the internet evolve from the Juno email to where we are today. I think the other thing when we think about these agents is it's just, I mean, the reality is there's going to be far more agents online than there are human beings in the relatively near future. And I wonder not only, what they might be doing in terms of search, but in terms of the business building standpoint. Like, do you think every agent, or do you think agents should own a domain? Like, do you think they should have their own, like, what are your just general thoughts on not the agents searching domains, but actually, building out their domains on their end?
Let me use, sorry, I'll talk a lot about this internally because I'm just this way. I think it starts today with agents. I think that soon it's going to be robots. It's going to be humanoid. It's going to be the future, right? What do you think your daughter, who wants to be picked up by a robot in the future, do you think she's going to trust some random string that calls her phone number or comes in through some trusted, like non-trusted means, or an identified naming for that, whatever, humanoid robot or something like that? I would basically bet that the trusted naming, like Anchor, is what would make your daughter safe.
Yeah, and domain names do that. That's why I said early in the show that my belief is that every agent will have its own domain name, will be identified by a domain name. It's the only way they're going to be able to communicate or be used efficiently on the web or in a virtual environment, because there is really no other virtual environment. I mean, you can't really. I mean, an SMS, on a phone number string, that to me is a lot more difficult and a lot less trustworthy, because there's so much spam and so much stuff going on without a verifiable, name and, naming pattern or naming address. The IP address protocol is, so secure, so safe. It's not been hacked. I think it's the only validation or way that agents are going to be named in the future is through domain names.
Yeah, it really is. This
and think outside .com, because all the great .com names are taken or used or whatever. That's why there's other extensions. So that's my point. So there probably will be a .agent in this next round. There'll be a .whatever. There'll be lots of dots, new dots. There'll be another 1,000 to 1,500 new top level domain names, many of which will be driven around crypto, AI, agent, Claude, all this kind of stuff, based off of today's trends and things that are going on. And in the future, it'll be a next round with with whatever's happening at that time.
Yeah, this intersection of domains and blockchain technology, it really is critically. I mean, it is the critical infrastructure as we move forward. It's a critical infrastructure for these agents from what they're building, what they're searching, how they're going to interact, and yeah, exciting time for Doma. We'll hit on some of the updated stats here before we get you out of here. I know we just hit the 3 o'clock hour, but really enjoying the conversation, and I want to make sure we get anything that you all wanted to share out there today. When you think of, like, you brought not just investors.com, you brought several domains over to Doma already, Monte. How do you, like, what's that thought process like? How do you decide, I'm going to hold this domain, I'm going to sell this domain, I'm going to go tokenize this domain? Can you help us understand a little bit, like, oh, this is a domain I want to bring to Doma and fractionalize, and I can see the value in the subdomains? Like, what goes into that thought process? And maybe it's evolving as we speak, but yeah, anything you can share in terms of what type of domains to bring to Doma? So
initially, I wasn't sure what would be of interest, so I sent the list forward and let Jebediah and the team look at them and say, okay, this looks like names that would be attractive to the other side, to the investor side. And so I was open to fractionalizing and monetizing, most everything in my portfolio. So, I mean, why have it just sit there? I mean, it's for sale. I am building out things like Atlanta.com and all those. So those aren't going to be the ones I'm sending over right now. But the ones I'm sitting on, the invested domain names I've had for years that have keyword value, that's what I'm looking at. So, but you can't send junk over because nobody's going to invest in junk. So it has to be attractive keywords, things that are related to the crypto space, the Web3 space, things that are futuristic or hold current values based off of current industry, but has a future value in the Web3 world for the future. Those are the types of things that I'm open to. I'm open to any of my non-monetized domain names being on the platform if Doma feels that they'll be good in the network. So I think I have 5 or 6 or something that are live, and another 10 names that are going to go live, I guess, in the next couple months. So I'm excited about that. And quite frankly, the more they want, the more I'll give them.
Well, I'll put the question back to you. The more money you want to make, the more domains you should put on.
I mean, what's really good to see is that, I mean, the money part is great. Trust me, that's what we're all in it for. You wouldn't be in making investment and you wanted that return on investment. But the fact that investors.xyz is being used in subdomain world, that's a validation thing for me. Like, I picked the right name, I registered at the right time. It has value, even though it's a .xyz, it's not a .com. Well, that's proof that in a new generational world, that name has value. All the .comers could beat their chest and say only .com, whatever. But there's only so many .coms you can buy, because they're not available. So you can't buy investors.com. Or if you could, I don't even know if it's used by a major company, but if you could, it's going to cost a lot more than fractionalizing a percentage of it and buying a fraction of it. So it makes the universe of potential buyers a lot larger, and it proves the concept that people want to own pieces of things if they can't afford a whole thing.
And I think, we could riff for a long time on domains, but I've seen too many domainers basically be like holdouts for years, for decades. And I'm just tired of seeing domainers basically take domains to the grave. Why do that? Why basically start making plans for people that, put this stuff in their will for their kids as opposed to maybe get some value out of it now, right?
Yeah, a lot of people are dying with their domain. They don't know what to do with them. There's not a plan. That's real. I mean,
we want to make that very, very clear and not subtle. Apparently, people are literally dying and taking domains. People are dying off now. Let's bring more life into these domain names, pun intended, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm 61. There's people older than me in the business, but the guys that started around the same age I did, they're turning retirement age, and there's got to be a plan. There's got to be something else to do. So I totally agree with that philosophy.
I also think investing is going to change. Like, kids don't invest the same way as their parents did, right? And crypto is like a good vehicle for people to kind of put and park money, so smart assets make sense, right? Like, investing is very different today than it was 10 years ago.
A lot of the new generation is something called unbanked, on purpose.
Yep.
I mentioned before, I'm the managing director for .hip hop, for example. That culture and community, a lot of them are unbanked. They don't trust the banking system. It's never been good for them. So they use cash apps and they use other vehicles that are more crypto-based type vehicles to invest. And this is what this is about. The new generation is going to, like you said, is the same thing. I had to force my kids to go get their bank accounts, and all that stuff, because they figure they can just send people money in Venmo and PayPal and all this other stuff. But that is going to be the wave of the future, is doing this and sending money to addresses and, Bitcoin addresses and crypto addresses and cash apps and, easier ways to pay than having to go through a third party and having them take some kind of banking fee and, sending a wire and waiting, 3 days, or paying a $45 charge to get it sent the same day. You don't have to do all that stuff. It's a lot easier. So that's why it makes so much sense.
Monte, I know we got to get you out of here soon. Everyone listening, if you have any questions for Monte or Inder or Fred, we'll do our best to get all of them answered before we wrap today. Is there anything that you wanted to share. I mean, you mentioned hip hop or .hip hop. You talked about right of the dot. Is there anything about any of your other, outside of just Doma and tokenizing these domains, you wanted to share about your other current ventures?
Well, one of the exciting things about .hip hop is that we're kind of fractionalizing the ownership of that, not necessarily through a D3 type approach, but we're doing a crowd fund on purpose so that outside investors can invest in the company. So we're putting 20% of our company up for sale through a crowdfunding initiative that's going to drive cultural and community support. So, for example, if you go to investin.hiphop, you can read all about it, but anyone can put as low as $250 in and invest in part of the company. So again, that's another type of fractionalization that's turning into reality. Is I've offered to put 20% of my business up for sale to anyone that wants to invest, so they can reap the benefits as it increases in value, and they'll get the benefit of that as money's made, or if there's a end user sale at some point, which there probably will be. So again, we run all the auctions for the industry. So we're building a brand new auction platform with AI driven engines inside and agents. And so we're going to have a bigger, better auction platform for people to participate in when we're doing our live and online auctions. And there'll be a new website at rideofthedot.com. So we're excited about that too. But I don't want to self-promote. This is about new ways to monetize the domain names in general. The fractionalization approach that Doma and D3 have created here are a spot on to what could be a next big wave of the future. And I'm a total supporter and behind it.
It's awesome. Where, for those that want more information or like to connect, is it do you have a preferred personal domain or email or X?
Yeah. People can email me at monty@rideofthedot.com.
Okay.
Spelled out. Or Monty at get.hiphop.
And not only that, Monty is going to be one of the key speakers at Dominion. So get your tickets now, luma.com/Dominion 2026. You can use code CWC if you'd like. Early pricing currently is just $299 for the 2-day conference, and it is loaded with incredible industry legends like Monty, some domain OGs. This is probably hard to see for those on video, but I'll just rattle off some of the other. There'll be a stable coin, TradFi, DeFi in 2025. That's from Sam, the founder of Frax. You've also got Solana and Avalanche, and so it's a combination of industry, domain industry OGs and thought leaders.
Sorry, I think this is 2025. Yeah, oh. Yeah, 2026. Yeah. I think the agenda might be soon coming.
But Cap, you're right. I think we'll have a very interesting mix, domain OGs, but also Solana, other ecosystems from Web3, right? Because, to be honest, it's friggin' 2026. There's no Web2, Web3. Everyone wants money. Everyone wants good assets. So I think that's where we come in. We're going to bring people from both Web2 and Web3 side, people who have belief in this industry, people who have, like Monty, built the industry. So you'll have both ends of the barbell, the OG builders and the new participants who really want to be in this industry.
And it's right after the Bitcoin conference, so it makes sense to have it during that. And that was a great strategy. And I think you had some kind of deal for people that are attending the Bitcoin conference to get a free ticket or a greatly discount ticket or something. That makes a lot of sense too. So anybody
with the Bitcoin Vegas pass.
Yeah, anybody coming in for the Bitcoin conference can go right over and go to this conference. It's down the street.
Yep. Filling up fast. Registration is somewhat limited, so don't wait. Especially if you're going to be at Bitcoin Vegas, this will be you're going to want to not only hear from the domainers and the crypto leaders, but compared to something like Bitcoin Vegas, a much more intimate conference where you'll have direct access to leaders like Monty and many others. Really looking forward to that. Again, that's coming up fast here. We'll blink and it'll be later this month. I know we got to get running here. If there are any questions, again, drop those in the chat. We'll do our best to get all of them answered. I did want to highlight just a couple of quick high level highlights from the Doma protocol standpoint. Crossed over 60 million in volume. TVL now 26 million. Over 8.3 million transactions. 44,000 wallets. Just continues. The growth continues over there, and seeing more and more domains added on a daily basis. Love to see it. Love to see the growth. And it's I know we celebrated the rides.com launch last week. Monty said he's got several other domains he's going to be tokenizing in addition to investor.xyz and the ones he already has over there. Inder, is there anything else you wanted to share today? I again really appreciate you joining us. Great to connect here on the show. Anything about, like, as VP of Tech and Product with D3, what are you focused on? What is the next, not necessarily like day to day, but such an exciting time to be building online, to be building on chain. What is it that I don't want to say keeps you up at night, but on a positive note, what has you most excited about the space and where we are currently?
Yeah, I mean, internet is growing. You always want to be in a business that's growing. Domain industry, the internet business is only going to grow with AI and agentic internet. So I think the growth is taken care of. A lot of what our focus right now is to make Doma even more accessible to a wider audience. Have Monty cash out his money in like 1 second, right? Not spend like 30 minutes with Matt. How can we get the money into his US bank account and make it dumb simple? And on the investor side, same thing, right? The reality is, Monty, you are a savvy investor, right? But not everyone is as savvy as you. What we want to do is make it easy to have those people have like a simple way. Hey, how do I buy into this domain industry? Reap the benefits of the domain industry without having to spend years kind of coming up to the level of Monty, which I don't even think they can, right? Most of us. So just make it more accessible for buyers to come into the industry.
I think making it a more Robinhood approach,
Exactly.
What's the other companies like Robinhood, People or whatever. Those types of things help the non-sophisticated investor be able to invest and make money without having to be complicated, like opening up a Schwab account.
No.
So that kind of approach, even Coinbase is getting so much easier to navigate through and whatever. So making it like that, making it easy to cash out, easy to invest, easy to make money on the money that's in there, making a percentage of your return on investment through interest payments. Those types of things will help get over the hump on all this stuff, for sure.
Yeah, one of my good friends and mentors says, "Put big buttons, just big buttons."
Is that why you use a Cricket phone, Fred?
That's right. That's right. Just make it easy for those domainers, right? Right.
It's not just domainers; it's like users, right? That's product in a nutshell.
What you're tapping into you're tapping into my kids investing.
Exactly.
So they're in their 20s and then their teens, and they're just getting out of college, and that's the market. Really, that's the market, because that's the wave of the future. That's the new money coming in, the more sophisticated, tech-driven folks, who are used to using the apps and used to using stuff. When I got in the domain business, I still am kind of computer stupid, but it wasn't about computer. It wasn't about computer. It was about branding and marketing and being online and investing in a new frontier that's never crossed people's minds that would be valuable someday. Mm-hmm. I think the new generation is looking for that in the new world, the new version. So that's what this is, I think.
Yeah, and the other part of a product is you want to capture user intent, right? You have these people come on Doma and they just YOLO in $1,000 into a domain. They're not going to do research hey, how many backlinks exist? What's this? What's that? Right? They're just hey, I want to invest $1,000. How do I make that happen? And then, funny enough, this actually gets worse when they want to invest $500,000. You're not going to go individually pick a name. You're just going to find someone you trust and give them all that money. So I think our goal is to make that, investment be much, much simpler.
And let me, just from experience and being part of this industry from the very beginning, spending $1,000 on a domain name is unlikely to bring you anything, because unless you hit the lottery.
Yep.
when I spent $1,000 on a domain name in 1994, I had a better chance because I was on the new frontier. So you got to look at this fractionalization as the new frontier, and buying pieces of really high quality domain names instead of trying to buy the whole thing. Not everybody's in the same boat as of Rick Schwartz and myself and Richard Lau and all and Amar and who can go to my auctions and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on a domain name that they know will be worth $1 million in the future. And lots of times in the room, they fractionalize amongst themselves and say, hey, you want to go in a partnership and get this name together. And at my last auction at NamesCon, 5 people got together and bought one of the names that was $120,000 or whatever. That makes it a lot more affordable, and you still get the percentage of the upside if it works, without having to go at risk of the full amount. So that's another version of fractionalization. Is that's the way to do it. And then you can buy assets you never thought you could buy before at an auction, or in this case, online on Doma, because you can buy a piece of it, and as long as you're looking at your return on investment percentage and not, I bought it for $10,000 and now it's worth 20. It's all about how much money you put in and how much money you're getting out in terms of your percentage of growth, and then what you can afford, and then you can double down and do it again, and do it again.
Portfolio approach for sure.
Portfolio approach is a really good approach. Now, where you're spreading it's just like an investment portfolio. You don't put all your eggs in Apple. You put it across the tech sector or the tech, and then you have some bonds. It depends what your strategy is.
Inder, I heard that that Robinhood is launching the new Trump savings account, Trump investment accounts for newborns, launching July 4th, 2026. How long do you think it will take before little toddlers can buy fractions of domains on Robinhood?
Hey, let's get those toddlers 401k that invests in a Bitcoin investment account. That's the way to do it, Fred. You guys are the funny thing is Fred is actually joking, but he's not. The reality is this is programmable finance. I cannot say this enough. The way we did finance 10 years ago is not going to happen. This toddler will have an AI agent optimizing for his college fund by investing on his behalf. How do you think that guy is going to buy his website? How do you think they're going to invest money? Finance is going to be very different in a couple of years.
And unlike physical real estate and unlike stocks, domains are the best digitally native asset class. You don't have to deal with the overhead of property tax, the garbage man, electricians, you know what I mean? All the compliance stuff. Domain names are domains.
Just got to pay your renewal fees every year, or
there you go,
or put a 10-year registration on it.
Update your credit card for sure at those registrars.
Your credit cards update. There wouldn't be.
Don't be like ETH.link. You know what I mean? The guy who disappeared for a few years in a North Korean prison. Yes.
There wouldn't be a drop catching market if there wasn't.
Wow. Well, I for one am really looking forward to hanging out, spending some more time together in Vegas at Dominion. Monte, really enjoyed the conversation today, and the trip down memory lane. I literally could hear in my head the dial-up internet connection when we were opening up there. But any final words, any closing thoughts, anything that we haven't asked you were hoping to share today?
I mean, just that, like Fred said, I think domain names are a great investment vehicle, and they're here to stay. And there's been so many attempts, maybe not on purpose attempts to disrupt the industry so that you wouldn't need a domain name, but all it did is prove that you really do need domain names to have online presence, branding, value, and increase in that value. And with AI and fractionalization, it makes it more affordable to people and more efficient. And you'll see more and more websites live now than ever before, which brings more value to the industry overall, because a big percentage of domain names were dead or just sitting on unused link platforms, and now they'll become real websites because of AI. And that's what's going to drive a lot of value and tons more internet traffic. So it's going to be huge growth. And remember, overall not in the world, we're still only about 50% penetrated online. So even though the United States is 75% penetrated, Africa is only 20% penetrated. So there you have a continent of 1 billion people that have a huge potential to come live due to AI and other things. So the internet industry is growing, and with new TLDs, there's going to be new possibilities. And with AI, it's going to bring it all together. And then with ways to invest in it, I think it tops it all off.
Exciting. Not only 1 billion plus new humans, but 1 billion plus AI agents. Like, it's just like the market is growing at a clip I don't think many have gotten their heads fully around yet.
Oh yeah, there's going to be things. There's going to be things in months and years that will blow us away. You know.
Inder, great to connect with you today. Any closing words, final thoughts from yourself?
I'm a product guy, so always like the one closing thought, which is try the app. Share your feedback with me, right? I'm always all ears. Fred, me both like love customer feedback. So yeah, go to app.doma, give it a shot. Over the last couple of weeks, we have added gasless swaps, so you don't need to worry about ETH, gas. We now support like literally 50 chains for payments. So use it, give us feedback. We would love to improve the app more and more. So yeah, that's my closing thoughts.
Love it. Live on base as well. I think we hit on that last episode, but speaking of new chains and adding stuff there, continuing to ship behind the scenes, Inder and team. Fred, any closing thoughts, any final words from you? Anything we didn't hit on today you're hoping to touch on?
Domains are the best asset class, digitally native asset class. Like I said, I'll end it at that. Ask me and Monte and Inder how to get started. Anytime. X, hey Fred, Inder Singh on X as well. Hit us up anytime. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, and to just piggyback off that, you're making it so much more accessible, like truly democratizing these domains where, Monty shared the story of like 5 people went in and bought a $120,000 domain. Could I have done that? Yeah, in theory, but I would have to know we would have had to connect it. I would have had to know someone like Monty. I feel like it just felt like it was a very small group of people that were the industry insiders. And if you weren't, good luck trying to get one of those, even a fraction of one of those premium domains. Now it really is, you got to access the internet and you can find your way to doma.xyz. You can own your share of any of these new up and coming exciting domains. So exciting time. And again, Monty, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate your time today. We'll be back. We're going to have Doma OnAir continues. We'll have episode 4, at least one more episode before Dominion. Probably look for that in a couple of weeks. And fun fact: only 75% of podcasts make it to episode 3. So a little pat on the back. Congratulations to all of us for making it.
And what I'm episode 4.
This is episode 3. So we checked that box. We'll show back up in a couple of weeks. And
I'm glad I made the last one.
We'll cross that chasm.
Domainers last for decades. So I'm sure we won't have that problem over here last.
I look forward to seeing everybody in Vegas.
Likewise.
Yeah. Thanks for doing this, Chris.
No, my pleasure. Truly an honor to host, and I'm really enjoying getting deep in this, not just with Doma, but domains. Monty, I really appreciate you sharing your story. It's exciting. It's exciting to think how far we've come, and I really do think like this next wave with AI agents and all that's happening in the AI world, I feel like we might just have that similar level of growth just compressed over a handful of years here with just the clip and speed of innovation and just brand new things that some of us probably haven't even thought of yet. But
Cap, I hope to see you at my next auction with paddle in the air, because now you can invest in something real.
Let's do it.
You gotta have that. You gotta have Nacho Libre jump off the stage again, right?
Yeah.
You're going Austin. Yeah, you'll love it, Cap.
I love it. Well, we'll play you out of here. Before we do, though, reminder to everyone, we'll be back. But if you haven't done so yet, head over, click up to the Doma handle, give that a follow. Go like, subscribe over on YouTube, and check out Doma. Grab a Dominion pass, and we'll see you all soon. Thanks so much for joining us today. Appreciate it, and have a great day, everyone.
Hey, thanks.
Take care.
Buying domains was slow, Doma changing the game. One bridge, one standard, now the systems move the same. Registrar, stay central, keep the trust and control. DNS and compliance, still they play the key role. Traded on chain, let new markets arise. Domain value unlocked. Welcome to Domain Fi.